What if we saw overwhelm not as a problem to solve, but instead we saw it as a signal to just soften a little bit? I remember when I first started to contemplate the feeling of overwhelm, it felt to me like it was something that I needed to do something about, that I needed to solve it. And for me, that just meant getting busier and doing more. Like it really felt like if I could just get through the list and get all the things done, that then that feeling of overwhelm would disappear. Like it was a problem to solve, like it was something I needed to fix. But in actual fact, through looking at it in that way, my mind became an awful lot busier. My body became a lot more stressed. There was just an awful lot more noise than there needed to be in my system. And my invitation here is to connect to the body. It's always my invitation these days, I think, to, they call it somatics, don't they? Which I don't know an awful lot about, but I just know that there's wisdom in the body. Overwhelm is your body letting you know that it just kind of can't hold any more. And what it can't hold any more of is your thinking, is the thoughts that come. I've been exploring this for a few weeks now, and the thoughts that bring us to the point of overwhelm, the thoughts like, I'm not doing enough, I've got to get through all this, something disastrous is going to happen if I don't get through all this. And so we just keep going, and we just keep going and going and going. We fight the body's wisdom, we fight the emotion. And of course, overwhelm isn't the only emotion that we've been taught to fight, is it? Everything that arises in the body, we're kind of taught to fight it. We're told that, or maybe we've not been told, but we've just picked up somewhere along the way that there's a problem with emotions, that they are a problem to solve. And overwhelm is no different, but that's a misunderstanding. That awful tight chest, the racing mind, the urge to escape, what they really are invitations to just slow down and notice. And that can feel quite tricky to start with, to say the very least, because of that habitual response that we've got into the fixing, the doing, the striving, the trying to push through it in some way, shape or form. Like I said, when we think about all the things we've got to do, we feel overwhelmed from our thinking, not from the things we've got to do. That's a fundamental misunderstanding. It's very interesting that I was at a networking event a few days ago, and coincidentally, the conversation in the breakout rooms, we were invited to talk about overwhelm. And the question was, what makes you feel overwhelmed? My thinking was my response, especially when I've got a lot of thinking about certain things, about the things I should be doing and what I should be on top of and by now, that kind of thing. And of course, that feels awful in the body. And then we want to get away from that feeling. That's, of course, a normal human response to feeling something in the body. I want to get away. I want to get away from this. It's not nice. It feels unpleasant. For me, that heaviness, it's here. It's a heaviness in the chest. It's a tightness, right, kind of on my heart, really, I would say. And we want to get rid of it. There's an irony here around overwhelm. I think that it's created by a critical voice that says you should be able to do all of this. Like the I often say that my inner critical voice, it talks a lot about more, talks a lot about not enough. It talks a lot about pushing harder, doing more, being more. And then when that feeling of overwhelm arises, then it comes in again, doesn't it? With, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Why can't you cope? Why can't you do all of this? Everybody else is on top of it, or everybody else is Superwoman. Why aren't you Superwoman? Why can't you keep on top of everything that you should be keeping on top of? Watch out for that word should. That word should, the inner critic loves that word, doesn't it? But that voice that wants to get rid of that feeling through doing more is just a conditioned response. And there's kind of a junction here, because at this point it looks like to do more is the best thing to do, to fight and to get away from that feeling as much as possible. And that being still, just pausing even for a moment, is just not okay. Like the drivers that we have say, keep going, don't they? Keep going. It's never enough. There's never enough that you've done to make that feeling go away. And that's ironic again, isn't it? That no matter how much we do, it isn't going to make that feeling of overwhelm go away. But what if stillness wasn't dangerous? What if stillness wasn't the actual problem? What if it was okay to be still? And, my invitation here is to just allow that for a moment. Can you allow yourself to be still for a moment? To just, feel your feet on the floor, take a breath. Just pause long enough to just feel what's there in the body and acknowledge it and soften towards it. No longer seeing it as a thing to fight against. That's the problem, is we see these feelings in our body as something to fight against, and that just puts an extra layer of thinking into the system. But there is some unbelievable power in being with what's there. That is resilience in action, really. The ability to just be with yourself exactly as you are. I love the topic of learning to be with yourself. My book is being created as we speak. And as you soften towards that feeling, as you get curious about its presence and you get curious about what it just is, what is it? Like, what is there? What's moving? What's tight? What's there? What's actually there in the body? When we get really curious about that and we begin to step into that place of awareness, in that place of curiosity, you can start to sort of trust your nervous system, that the whole thing is always moving through. You don't have to do anything about anything that's in your body. It's always moving through. How about if just now you just felt your feet on the floor and took a breath and felt into what was there in your body right now? Maybe place your hand on your heart or your belly and just notice the depth of your breath. Even just, I find just taking one deep breath. Can this moment be enough? Can you be enough just as you are, without needing to go off busying and doing more? Seeing yourself perhaps as a kind of project. What if you could just sit with what's here right now in your body? I think this inability to be with ourselves, this inability to to just be present to what is arising, our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviours, whatever they are. The inability to do that is causing endless suffering amongst humans. Really an awful lot of suffering. You seeing yourself as a project, as something to fix, trying to get past certain feelings. Overwhelm is the one we're exploring at the moment, but it's the same for everything. Whether it's an anxious feeling or an overwhelmed feeling or I don't know, just urgency, fear, whatever it is that's arising there is there to be felt. So that's really my invitation here. It is to really see that overwhelm or any other emotion is not a problem to solve. It's a signal to just slow down, to pause, to soften, to be with what's there. That's what's available to you in this this experience of just being with yourself exactly as you are right now, without needing to fix, without needing to change, without needing to do anything. I really do believe that this is the route to freedom. This being with yourself is that's where freedom lies. In every aspect of life. So I hope that's been a helpful little exploration. You know where I am if you want to explore this further. Take care.